world to keep us safe. Forgive us of our sins, and in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge the American flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
Thank you. So we're going to start with a couple of quick reports from our local organizations, but first let me ask you, if you haven't signed the Get Well card for Joe, he's still down on his back and had his back surgery, so we're just going to send him a little note of well wishes. It'll be sitting up here after the meeting, so if you didn't get to sign it, you can come sign it afterwards. We'll start with the fire department. Anybody got an update for the fire department? Come on.
Chief Johnson just asked me to pass on a fairly busy month. We were at 341 calls for the month. 201 of them were MVAs, motor vehicle accidents. So we've had a pretty substantial increase this month in wrecks. It seems like at least wrecks with serious outcomes, as a result of them. So other than that, everything else is going. I know we're starting to in our preparedness phase for hurricane season and with the storms and stuff that we've been facing, and I think we're expecting another pretty wet week this week with some potential possibilities with some low-lying flood areas, stuff like that later this weekend. So we're just trying to gear up, ramp up to the season, that type of deal. So it sounds like from a meeting this morning, I guess they're still in talks with the architect company on building, relocating Station 122. So I think some more on that will be coming up in the coming meetings and months. So, and that.
Did the firemen from that bad accident that day at the entrance ramp there in front of the mobile home place, that all the firemen were okay?
The firemen were okay. Sergeant Miller or Mr. Kelly may have a little better information on the wreck than what I have. I know none of our guys were injured. None went to the hospital, that type of deal. I know they went to Louisiana this week and got some preliminary numbers. I think that damage could be up to $300,000. I think is the number that they're throwing out. But that's about all I know. I think they're still waiting on maybe some police report stuff. Does that sound right? So yeah, I was not on my ship, so I'm not super familiar with the status on that.
The truck took the brunt of that hit. I mean, that other vehicle was severely damaged. If y'all saw the photos from it, the fireman barely felt the impact, I believe, but the truck did shot. We can't buy human people, so the truck did what it was supposed to do.
Since you're the representative from the sheriff's office, would you like to go next and tell us
Sure.
the exciting things going on
Sure.
over there? Because I'm sure you have lots of stuff.
No. Y'all that don't know me, I'm David Miller, Sergeant with the Sheriff's Office. God bless Joe, he is laid up was in the hospital as of today from last Tuesday. He's still in a significant amount of pain. They are moving him over to a rehab facility for at least 7 days. We'll see how that goes. And I think he's a lot better than what he was a week ago anyway. So, as far as the Sheriff's Office, for this month, past month, April, we had 2,599 calls, about 100 calls up from the month before, 281 reports, so just a handful from last month. Traffic contacts were down 151. I'm sure that's because of the calls and the reports, just not that much time. 658 area patrols we completed. As far as the quality of life crimes, we had 21 burglary vehicles. They're slightly up. I believe the children are getting kind of antsy, ready for school to be out. Criminal mischiefs were slightly down. Robberies, I think we only had one of those that I can say for sure. I think that was the motel up here. And they caught those subjects the next day over in Conroe. 38 thefts and 25 vehicle thefts. That's about it for the report. We did have our local food drive held this past Saturday. We did very, very well. It's all the first responders. We are familiar with it. every first responder along this side of the county was involved with it. We're up about $3,000 from last year. We raised $24,443.76. That will all go to Mission Northeast to help them feed the hungry and the needy over here. So that's a tremendous cause right there. Food weight was maybe slightly down, but we supposedly have 44 pallets of cleaning materials coming before the end of the week. That's going to put us well above last year. So we did very, very well for that. So all of y'all that's participated or shared with us, we sure do appreciate it. At the end of the month, on May the 31st, I'll do this here with Elizabeth. We're going to have coffee with the cop at Buster's Brew. If any of you want to come meet any of our police officers, find out what the human side is of us, that'd be a place to do it. 7 to 9:30 a.m. at Buster's Brew. If you have any questions, we'll be here to ask.
So I spoke with Judge Dunn. That's a hard thing to say. I spoke with him, and he wasn't able to come. Something had come up, so he asked me if I could update y'all with some information from his office. When he had been here before, everybody kind of gasped when he said what his cases were that he was trying to clear off or what he was tasked with. And so he wanted to let everybody know that from April 1st to April 30th, there were 1,065 new criminal cases filed, but 2,445 criminal cases were disposed. So that's good. That means those other numbers were shrinking. He had 210 new civil cases filed and 199 cases were disposed. He said, we are holding court twice a day, Tuesday through Thursday, and they have some scheduled on Mondays for now. His office is also open until noon on Fridays, which is new because it's been closed every Friday. So he says he did 38 inquests during the month of April. I'm tired. That's what he says. He says he collected just over $145,000 in fees and fines, and he has, as of today, a full staff, and we are rocking and rolling. Please give everyone my regards, and I hope to see you in June. So that's Judge Dunn's update. Did you bring any info from the Commissioner's office? Of course you did. Come on up here. This is, if anybody missed the other meeting, this is Phyllis Martin. She works at Commissioner Met's office as his chief of staff, correct? And so she's also been appointed to fill vacancy as vice president. So Phyllis is here. She's going to fill us in on Commissioner Met's office.
So I just wanted to give a little bit of an update on what's been accomplished so far, or what's a little bit in the works from Commissioner Met's office. I believe it was 2 meetings ago that I was here with y'all when I talked a little bit about the Allendale project and how we had done some significant improvements over there, but there were still more to come. Since that time, we've also gone into Tamina. So a lot of work's been over on the east side of or the west side of the precinct to do some drainage improvements over there. We've done some work in Tamina, and then we've spent a significant amount of time in Chateau Woods doing some improvements over there. They've included identifying outfalls, which have been a little bit of a challenge. They've also included digging out ditches that already existed, and the work that's over there is really somewhat of a Band-Aid because we know that there's much more that has to be done, but we're awaiting a grant from the General Land Office that will provide for stuff that's a little bit more significant. We've also, just this week, I don't know if y'all follow us on Facebook, but we've done some drainage off of Ada Lane, which is just north of Lake Houston Wilderness Park. And that was a big swampy area that had been there for quite some time, and so we've managed to drain that some. With the heavy rains that we had just a couple of days ago, it did a washout in one of the areas, and so we are going to go back and redo that with some cement stabilized sand, so it will provide a better permanent drainage there. There's a development that BNSF has going on. They're doing a new logistics center, they called it, but it's rail yard, which is up just immediately north of 105 and west of Cleveland, immediately west of Cleveland to Fostoria Road. So that's going in. They have asked if we're going to be widening or improving Fostoria Road as part of that, and that just came through this week, so we haven't made any final decisions on that yet, but I thought that might be of interest to you guys. And the last thing that I thought might be of some pretty good interest to y'all is that the Commissioner has commissioned a study, a major thoroughfare study with Brown Gate Engineering firm. So one had already been done in South Montgomery County in Precinct 3, but the one that we've engineered should help identify some future major thoroughfares in East Montgomery County for north-south as well as east-west, to help tie in some major roads that already exist to each other, to help whenever there are things like some sort of catastrophic event, a hurricane or things like that. So longer term, to be able to have more of a plan on what to do with some of our more significant road movement that needs to happen. So, just a little bit.
Thank you.
Yes?
Is that study, are we able to look at it?
Well, it's not done yet. We just commissioned them. So we just contacted our purchasing department last week to be able to engage them. They're going to do traffic counts as well as look at, from a bigger picture, what would work, and hopefully tie in with all of Montgomery County, but we only commissioned them for East Montgomery County. But yes, once it's finished, absolutely, it'll be made available to the public.
I saw them out on 1485 today digging out some ditches out there, so somebody was, so they need it. Great. Does MSED wish to give an update today? You always have plenty of good information.
Okay, we're ready.
Okay, you're ready. It's a short note with you because we have your friend there, so you're going to save all the glory for him, aren't you?
That'll work. We brought here's our newsletters. You guys want to pass those around? If you want one, take it. You should have it in your mailbox. If you don't, that's okay. So anyway, there's some information, stuff going on in the district, as well as a calendar of stuff upcoming on the back. Some things you probably want to know about is some of the future developments. We just approved an agreement with a Mexican restaurant called La Huerta. If you go down North Park after you go past Dairy Queen, on the right-hand side, you'll see a large tract of land that's been cleared. That's another major retail center that's currently being planned. La Huerta is one of the businesses moving in there. We also have an Italian restaurant. We can't tell you who that is until Thursday. So we got another option for dining there that will be in that center as well on North Park. So that development is moving forward and doing extremely well. We got a new Starbucks, which will be coming up pretty soon here on 1485 in front of the Walmart. So for you coffee folks that need your Starbucks, then you got another option for Starbucks up here in front of Walmart on 1485 coming up soon. A couple other things going on is also a new barbecue place. The Assembly of God Church, as you go out on 1485 on the right-hand side, Guy Hancock had that and currently has a lease with another barbecue place. We got our existing barbecue place cracked up. So got a new barbecue place coming there. Pit Stop Barbecue, they're up just north of Livingston, and they're coming down this direction to expand and have another location in the future. Wiener Schnitzel, late May is kind of what they're telling us. They're about ready. They've got their employees in there training, getting them all squared away with what they need to be doing. So we're still looking at late May for their opening at Wiener Schnitzel.
We'll have a sneak peek on our Facebook page in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, so if you go on to like our Facebook page, you'll get all the updated information on all these places and everything going on. So just to keep you up to date. Olive Garden opening is May the 20th. So May the 20th, get ready. And we're just across the street here, and I'll let Brody talk about all their stuff they got going on in a minute. One thing to note is Ace Hardware out 1314, their grand opening. They're currently open, but they're going to do a grand opening. The grand opening will be June the 8th. They got lots of giveaways, grills, and all kinds of stuff that they're giving away. So a pretty cool day that they got. That's their grand opening on June the 8th. That's Ace Hardware about 1314. We just had an event this past Saturday for a recycle event for our community. So we constantly had a flow of cars coming through our parking lot, and we ended up with over 10,000 pounds of paper that was shredded, keep it out of the landfill, and had a service come in and take all that product away. So it's quite a day, and people were bringing stuff from pretty old documents, I'm telling you. I don't know why they were keeping their tax returns from the 80s, but it was very important to them until this weekend. So in any event, we got rid of a lot of paper this weekend with our shred event. We're also, this fall, we also schedule another time to have electronics recycling. You're going to bring your computers, TVs, any of the old stuff, any old electronics you may have. We're going to have that event during the fall. That was very well attended last year. And I think we almost had a 45-foot trailer full from that event last year. So that's coming up in the fall. A couple other things to note to you, Big Rivers. Once again, the water park up here is May 25th, their grand opening. I know no one believes it, but yeah, they're actually going to open on May the 25th. And they'll be ready to let you float down the river and do your things and go down the slides, whatever you want to do. Martin, no Speedos, okay? All right. Kolache Factory has signed a lease with Jones Lang LaSalle. As you go down North Park on the left-hand side, there's a new building that's been built, a little strip center looking building. So Kolache Factory is going to be moving in there very, very soon. And one new place to talk about, there's a new place, if you know where Players is, back there on 494. Not that I'm trying to promote that business, but next to it is a veteran, Iraqi Freedom, Enduring Freedom veteran that's opened up a place called Taco Pops. So it's kind of an ice cream place, and they're really trying to transition that strip center into something nicer than what it is. So a pretty cool little business. Just want to put a plug in for them. They've been open about probably about 3 weeks, and been in there. They got some pretty cool stuff. So if you need a little ice cream treat or refresher, Taco Pops is right there. And they're trying to do some things different to improve that center from everybody knows what it's been in the past. So we're very encouraged that, you know, maybe we can make some headway there to make that a little bit nicer center to go to in the future. So that's some of the updates that we got going on. Any questions from anyone? Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other office or group have anything to say other than Mr. Ski? He's going to be the last one, I'm guessing. He wants us to know there's a spring fling barbecue cook-off to benefit the Masonic Charities. It's going to be May 31st and Saturday, June 1st, so it's a Friday and a Saturday. I got a flyer up here, and it's going to be a lot of payout. They got $5,000 plus prizes. So it's free admission, and there's a craft show, so that'll be great. Yes, Mr. Ligon?
I didn't know if you want to report from the DA's office.
Absolutely, we would love to hear that. I'm sure it's all good news. Come on.
Depends on who you are.
I'm not in your office, so it's all good. I'm not in the report.
So it dawned on me several years ago, Chambers of Commerce no longer invite me, and I'm thinking maybe tonight's not the right night, but there was a reason, because when somebody gets up there from the Chamber of Commerce, they're talking about pro-business. And you have somebody from the DA's office saying, oh man, there's a bunch of crime going on in this community. So I'm glad that Brody's here to kind of counteract these numbers. One of the things that I had spoken to the commissioners about last week, and it's something that there are some nuances, and I was talking to my cousin Jason about it. You're going to hear in the reports within the next several months about the growth of crime within Montgomery County, and that is very true. It was 6%, a couple of years ago, it was 11% last year. This year it's hovering between 15 and 25% on the felony side. Now it makes you think, okay, hey, where's all this explosion of crime coming from? Well, there's 3 things that tie to it. One is population growth, right? There's a reason why Montgomery County is growing the rate that it is. In East Montgomery County, within the whole county, is actually growing at a faster rate than all the other precincts within the community. So because of MSED, because of prosperity, I mean, you can look out here, East Montgomery County is the place to be. The land is still relatively affordable. The quality of life has gone up, the resources and everything. But with population problems, you have population clusters. Population clusters lead to certain inevitable crimes, right? The closer people are together, there's more opportunities for theft, there's more opportunities for vehicle crime, there's more opportunities for homicides. It's hard to shoot somebody from East County if you're in Montgomery, right? Which is on the west side. Nobody gets shot across county lines or, you know, that far of a distance. But neighbors, when they get in close, if it makes y'all feel better, the Woodlands is well ahead of y'all when it comes to the homicide rate. So Woodlands has got y'all beat. So there's 3 things. One is the population. The second one is, and this is in response to the community, it's the growth of law enforcement within the community, right? If you have more police officers, then you can report more crime and you can solve more crime. So the cases filed at the DA's office are only one factor that indicates the growth rate. If you look at arrests and calls for service have been a little more stable. So you're not seeing an 11% increase in arrests last year and a 11% increase in calls for service, or a 15 or 25%. What you're seeing is those same amount of arrests resulting in cases being filed. So you've got population, but in response to the community, city councils, as well as the commissioners have paid attention. Montgomery County is still well underfunded when it comes to police and fire. That's not my number, that's the FBI's number. Montgomery County is about 500 police officers to 600 police officers shy of where we should be. We have less than 800 police officers doing 3 shifts across the county. And when I say that 800, that includes the Sheriff's Department, DPS, County Police Department, all 5 precincts, all 5 constables, all the ISDs, and all the PDs. Now imagine, just because I went hanging in, let's say there's 900 police officers, because I can divide 9 by 3. That's less than 300 officers per shift. Does everybody get where that is? This is the 5th largest county in the state of Texas, landmass-wise. It's an incredibly large county. But in response, for example, Conroe ISD has doubled their police force. They're on pace to do so. So they're going to go from 64 officers to closer to 120, right? More officers, more crime investigated. So number one, we have the population growth. We finally have a response in law enforcement. The Sheriff's Department is continuing to add a dozen or 20 officers at a time. The constables agencies are adding people. The school districts are adding people, right? And the third one is better investigative techniques. One of the interesting factors is obviously if you have better investigators, better investigative techniques, you can make more cases, right? It's the same reason, just the opposite of why our homicide rate has stayed so consistent over the years. One of the biggest things that's happened in Montgomery County is the medical complex going down 45 and up on 59, right? So, interesting fact, our aggravated assault rates have gone up, but our murders have stayed consistent. Now, you see the causal connection there? The more hospitals you have, people that get shot within that golden hour or stabbed within that golden hour, in the 70s and 80s and even the early 90s, they were going to Ben Taub Hospital, right? So you didn't have major trauma care. Now we have hospitals, whether it's Kingwood Hospital, anywhere on 45, so you're getting better policing and you're getting better medical care. So our aggravated assault rates are going up because the people aren't dying, they're getting stabbed. So everybody understand that? So when you see some of these statistics, Mark Twain said there's 3 types of lies, analyze, and statistics. So Montgomery County is still an incredibly safe place to live when it comes to violent crime. But the crime rate is going up, not only per population, but also raw numbers as well. I don't think anybody ought to move out of Montgomery County, but the more police officers you see, the more likelihood that you're going to see more cases being filed. So it kind of works like that. Internet crimes against children. We've had a robust effort 6 or 7 years ago, right? I kept trying to warn people, you're going to see an explosion in internet child pornography, and you're going to see an explosion in child sex cases. The work was already here. The crimes were still being committed, it's just there weren't any resources being paid attention to it, right? And so when you have the resources to pay attention to them, it makes it look like all of a sudden there's an explosion in the crime because you're finally starting to recognize those. So some of it you just kind of have to take in. If there's any questions with that, Precinct 4 Constable's Office still continues to be the most robust Constable's Office within all of Montgomery County. Precinct 3, Precinct 5, Chris Jones, the constable over there, they're doing a good job. Their numbers are still nowhere near what our Constable Hayden's numbers are, which doesn't mean that y'all have more crime over here. It means they're doing more resources, paid attention. I used to have meetings with the constables all the time, and I would say, hey, I have X amount of warrants for precincts 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Precinct 4 would say, well, let's go run those warrants. The other agencies, not so much. They would say, well, we'll help you, but they weren't interested in running their own warrants. Every precinct has at least 1,500 to 2,000 felony warrants pending. That's not counting the misdemeanor warrants, and it's certainly not counting the justice of the peace numbers. I got to see Jason Dunn try his first criminal case. It was absolute horrible. But I think he's going to get better. The good thing is he can't get any worse than where he was. I'm just teasing. If Jason's here, I've known Jason for over 20 years. He's doing a great job. He's managing his docket well. I think he's up to speed. He was reading off a cue card. He was a little nervous picking his first criminal trial, but I assure you, it won't be his last criminal trial. It's justice of the peace. I've ran into him several times on night shift out here. There are quite a few judicial inquests coming from the justice of the peace. It's not just homicides, right? It's any questionable death, anybody who doesn't die under a doctor's care. So if he's telling you 34 inquests, that's not 34 murders in East Montgomery County. That's 34 people who have passed away either under suspicious circumstances or they passed away not in the care of a doctor. And so if I'm not in the care of a doctor and I'm at home of a heart attack or whatever, the justice of the peace is going to respond. So once again, you got to be careful with a little bit of those numbers. Doesn't mean there wasn't 34 new dead people. It just meant there wasn't 34 murders. So, do I understand? I hope I don't hurt it. East Montgomery County is the place to be in Montgomery County. Any questions for me? Now that I've put a nice big happy face on what's going on across the county. Okay.
Thank you for coming. And I almost forgot the constable's office. I can't forget them. They always come and bring such great information. You tell your boss, I didn't forget.
No, it's not.
Okay.
All right, I just got some numbers for you guys. So last month, our office had 152 arrests. Out of those 152 arrests, we filed 222 charges. We did 2,240 calls for service. On our civil side, we attempted 802 papers. We served 277 of them, and 74 were returned to court. We did a TABC sting. We started at the north side of the precinct and went south. We hit 88 stores out of that TABC sting, and we got 4 arrests on it. And then I believe this morning we did an ICAC search warrant, and 1 person is in custody from that internet crime against children search warrant. That's pretty much our stats for the month. I don't have a whole lot to talk about. I don't know about what upcoming events we got going on. So, anybody have any questions?
You know when the next constable's academy is? It's usually-
No, I know it just graduated last week, but I don't know when they're starting the next one.
And it goes on Facebook.
Yeah, it should be on the Facebook page. We're still doing the vacation watches. Y'all put in for vacation watches. We get them every night. Same goes with business checks. I know we're doing business checks in the middle of the night. Might catch a flyer on the door saying we're there. It's also been close to mine, etc. Pretty much it. All right.
Thank you. So the last little bit of information we'll give you before we get to our grand guest speaker is I'm going to read you the minutes that were from March. Excuse me, I believe that's, yeah, it was March because we did not have a meeting in April. That was because there were some unforeseen circumstances that came up with a death and an illness and a kid making the sale in Montgomery County. So that's where we were. We couldn't have a meeting without at least 2 of the board members. So I know you missed us, and I'm sorry if you didn't get the update saying the meeting had been canceled. I apologize, sincerely apologize. Don't anybody be upset. But here's the meetings from the March meeting. The meeting was called to order at 7 p.m. by President Joe Sin at the Library Community Room in New Caney. Elizabeth Harrell was absent. Reports and updates were given from the local officials and community organizations, as always, regarding any upcoming events and openings. The guest speaker was someone from the Lions Club. We did not conduct any business, and the next meeting was scheduled for April 1st. The meeting was adjourned at 8:28 p.m., and for the April meeting, we have no minutes because it was canceled. So if anybody has any additions or corrections to those, I'll take that now. If not, Jason made a motion to accept those, and Christine seconded that. Thank you very much. Do we have a treasury report?
I have a treasury. March, we started out with 1933.54. I wrote 2 checks, one to the Lions Club, one to the Dreams Club. And we ended up with a balance of 931.54. And when April started with 931.54, made 1 deposit, $53, had some bank fees, and ended with an ending balance of 974.
Anybody have any questions for that? We'll have a motion from Jason again. Thank you. And, all right, I got it. Thank you very much.
I'm sure they'll have them.
$6 a person, $9 for a family. Check or cash. All right, so we got all our business out of the way. Our next meeting will be the first Monday in June. We hope to see everybody here, both our high schools in New Caney ISD and the one from Splendora. And the early college will be graduated by then, so we'll have a whole bunch of new members of productive members of our society. So I look forward to that. And we have our guest speaker here. I'm going to introduce him. His name is Brody Ferris. He lives in Montgomery County and he works with the Signorelli Company. And he has everything you want to know about what's going on at the town center. You ready? Okay, we're ready.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
As Elizabeth said, my name is Brody Ferris. I joined the Signorelli Company a little over a year ago in February. My previous life was doing essentially the same thing for a public REIT for about the last 15 years. So it was exciting just being that I live here in Montgomery County to work kind of in my backyard and apply what I've learned over the years here for the Montgomery County and the community. As far as kind of what brought that about as a company, just to give you a little history on Signorelli and kind of what we do, because you obviously see the Valley Ranch project, but as far as commercial real estate, we're essentially in pretty much every discipline, which includes our home building division, which is First American Homes, our land development group, which goes out and puts together the Valley Ranch type developments or the commons of Lake Houston, assembling those properties and developing all the infrastructure. We also have an office division, multi-family, which you can see here with the Point, which is about to open just here in a few months. First phase, a little over 300 units. Obviously the commercial retail, which is what I'm in charge of day to day, and then industrial, we've done some industrial projects as well. So, and then actually recreation, we just hired about 3 or 4 months ago, Terry Munoz from he managed an RV resort company for about 30 years, and we brought him on to develop our first RV resort park out on Lake Houston. So we pretty much have it covered. But what I wanted to talk about today is just, primarily the Valley Ranch Town Center, which y'all can see, and then some of the different phases, and give you some insight into what's going on out there, maybe what you've recently seen or what you've heard. So I'll get started on that. Just want to kind of walk you through a little bit of the history. I know I'm talking with most of y'all here before we got started. Most of y'all live in the area, so you probably know the history better than I do. But as far as the overall Valley Ranch Master Plan community, the project's about 1,400 acres. Danny Signorelli, our CEO, started assembling land out here in the late 90s, and through about 6 or 7 acquisitions, put together about 1,400 acres, which makes up all the way down close to 13, 14, up to where we're sitting today at the town center. First phase of that was the residential, and the thing about Danny, he's a constant entrepreneur, visionary, and putting in these different districts, has really paid off, because you have certain areas for the different aspects of a master plan community, starting with, as we mentioned earlier, the stadium, plus the ball fields back there. And, obviously a lot of this was put together not knowing where the Grand Parkway was going to come through. It had been talked about for 40 years, but, once that was determined, it kind of identified where the retail was going to be placed right there on the northwest corner. This is kind of zoomed in view of the town center. I'll just kind of go through. Some of these are obvious, but try to give you some insight into what we're working on and kind of what the grand plan is here. Just some new activity, obviously Olive Garden. You can see that that's going to open. Frank had mentioned that. Gringo's has opened extremely well. We're very happy to have them there as our Tex-Mex restaurant within the development. Some of the other ones, Buffalo Wild Wings, Sub-Zero's about to open. Our Pokey restaurant opened just a few months ago. We're working on a couple of other restaurant pads just north of Verizon there. One of them will be in a multi-tenant building, and then one of those will be freestanding along the lines, size-wise, of like an Olive Garden or Gringo's. Kind of in the inline retail here, we still have some pieces there to fill in. We have a lease working with a group between PetSmart and Burlington to fill that remaining spot, and also on that north end cap. And then kind of as you move your way around, if you haven't been out there, we're not complete. We still have some landscaping and some side work to do, but what we've done is we've created this pedestrian corridor, which, will lead into the restaurants with RC's and James Avery and some of the other Yummy Tummy, which is about to open there. It looks great, and it'll look even better once we get the final landscaping in place. And we're working with another restaurant. We've kind of reserved that south end cap there in the dining plaza for another, great restaurant, just to feed off of that, kind of that whole field, the synergy with the patio there. Moving our way around, Academy just to the west here, we're working with several junior anchors for the track there, 5 to 6 foot. We thought it will be probably another 100,000 square feet there. And then out front, Regions Bank's about to open. We just finished and delivered to DeVita. They're under construction for that building out in front of Hobby Lobby. We've got about 10,000 square feet remaining. We've got a little tea house going in there, a little medical user, and then a small fitness concept. And then we're also working with a bank on one of the pads out here in front of Olive Garden. Kind of the next phase, you move out of what we classify as the town center here. We're working out on the lakes there with several restaurant groups for what we've kind of done our boardwalk, and I've got some renderings once we get through some of this. And then the entertainment district, which will be a mix of some additional multifamily, office, ground floor retail, restaurants, plus entertainment. We're working with several entertainment groups to complement the Cinemark, and then down the far west end is the Point multifamily development there.
I have a question.
Sure.
It says, on that other page, right there, next to Academy, I can't read what that says. Does that say Best Buy, Home Goods, and a wine store?
Yeah, and
Okay.
that's conceptual.
Okay.
We look at this, guys.
Okay.
Just kind of moving, this is just an area looking towards the west. You kind of see the full development from end to end. We've got right now a little over, I think we're at 53 tenants, 54 tenants. So makes up about 650 to 700,000 square feet. This is just a rendering looking from over Cinemark there at the bottom towards the stadium, and looking across just kind of the entertainment district. You can see over here to the right on the lake there, just to the west of the Sam's Box, the boardwalk, which will be a really cool setting. So you can sit out there on the water, literally be 1,000 feet from the Grand Parkway, and really not have that feel, just because you've got the buffer there with the lake and with the tree reserves there, where the White Oak Creek runs through the wetlands there. So it'll be a really cool setting once that's all complete, and we're in the works, like I said, with several restaurants to kind of kickstart that and get a lot of the infrastructure, the boardwalk, and some of the fountains added to that part of the development. This is just a rendering kind of looking from as you come over the bridge there, heading towards Cinemark. Once you go over the bridge, this will be to your right, looking onto the boardwalk there and the restaurants. This is just a conceptual layout for what that would look like from a site plan standpoint. This is, as I mentioned earlier, the dining plaza. We've got the fountains out there. It looks, great here in the day. You get out there at night, it's really cool. You've got the lights strung across there, and then once we get that additional restaurant in place, it'll create that much more energy. And we're really happy with James Avery. If you haven't been in there, I've been doing this for a while, and whoever does their interior build out has done a phenomenal job from their fixtures to their build out, all the finishes. Some other retailers should take a look at that, because they did a phenomenal job. This is the building out in front of Hobby Lobby I mentioned. DeVita Dialysis taking the west half of that building, and then we'll be left with, like I said, about another 10,000 square feet facing Hobby Lobby and Kroger there. Freddy's, which just opened a few weeks ago, was in the day, it looks great. They're very pleased, and I think with some of the requirements that we require our tenants to put into their building, you'll notice a lot of the consistency in the stones and the finishes. We want everybody to have their own identity, but it also creates a real clean look. We have kind of held our tenants and held firm on them doing a little bit better than just an average Whataburger or an average Freddy's. Chick-fil-A, so something we're really proud that the way a lot of these buildings have turned out. Olive Garden, which we can see from right here, the 20th opening, Regions Bank, they're a few weeks out. And then Adeline, I think they're opening potentially in the next day or two. So this is just some drone photos we took the other day of the point. If you haven't gone back there, you can drive back there and make a full turnaround. You can't really get into the development, but you can make the turnaround from the clubhouse. It looks great. Right now, we're pre-leasing behind Shogun. We have our on-site office, and we're pre-leasing those units. So if you know of anybody, looking to move into the area and looking to rent, it speaks for itself when you get out there. It's great scene.
Oh, here's a quick question.
Sure.
Has there been any thought to any senior housing, new senior house development?
We have actually, I don't know if you can see it on here. On the back side, one Valerie Parkway, there's about 40 or 50 acre reserve there. That will be the next phase of our multifamily, which will include some seniors, different classifications as far as multifamily goes. So yes, we're working on that right now. Also wanted to point out some of the additional retail that we have. Neighbors ER, Discount Tire, and then the C-store down at the main entrance coming into Valley Ranch, the residential community. We're working right now several different pieces. We just closed on this tract here, about 2 acres. Until they announce, I really don't want to say anything. But a good national tenant that will take that. A good use to be set kind of behind Discount there. Next to that, we're developing about 100,000 square foot of self-storage, climate-controlled 3-story facility, and then some additional retail and then some restaurant pads out front here. And you can see, just looking at this aerial, the proximity to the Grand Parkway, to all of the action that we have there at the town center. Plus, it's going to be a little bit different setting, just serving the residents that want to come out and grab a pizza or go get their nails done and not fight, getting up to the town center. And then just the ease of access being right there on the frontage road too for folks heading into town in the morning. Makes it a nice location that you'll see a little bit more activity there probably here in the next 3 or 4 months. This is just a look. I know everybody's seen the sign, or if you haven't, kind of on the southwest quadrant there of Valley Ranch Parkway, Grand Parkway. We've got about 120 acre reserve there that would be the next phase of retail, which is the outlets. And timing of this is the outlet developments do take some time. We've engaged with CORD, which is the outlet resource group, and in that arena, they're best in class. The outlet tenants are kind of a different animal than your traditional retail, and we've hired them to go out there and engage with those retailers to kick things off for this phase of the town center and the Valley Ranch development. And it's just another rendering looking at that.
Where was that exactly?
This is right here. Okay. You go towards the west, a little over 100 acres on the southwest corner there, Valley Ranch Parkway and Grand Parkway. And then just one other thing that I'm pretty proud of, just working for a company that likes to be a good citizen of the community and give back to the community, working with all of the folks here and the folks that have spoke. This is one thing that last year we put together for the 4th of July, and Danny said, hey, we need to do something, 4th of July, let's put something together, and went out there and, got a fireworks show put in place and brought in some food trucks, had some, hired some face painters and some activities for the kids, and weather was not good throughout the day, and so unfortunately some of the other shows were canceled, and, we were able to capture some of those folks that still had plans to take the kids out and bring the family out and have a fun time. And it was, we were thinking maybe 500, 1,000 people. We didn't know. We hoped to have 1,500, and there was probably 7,500 to 8,000, 9,000 folks there. I mean, every parking lot was full, and the hill was covered, and it was a great show. And so we wanted to take that and kind of up our game. And we didn't have the bandwidth as a company to do this every year, so we went out and hired a group to help us manage that and bring in some top acts in music, the other entertainment components for the family. We do have a cook-off this year, barbecue cook-off, and it'll be a sanctioned event, so hopefully we'll have some good competition, some good food out there, and then the food trucks and the other things that go along with that. And there'll be some acts for the kids too, that we bring in some surf acts. So just mark the calendars, it's pretty easy before July. It'll be an all-day deal from 2 to about 10 o'clock when the fireworks go off. So
Where will people find information about that?
you can go to Shop BRTC, it's on there.
The RTC?
Shop BRTC, which if you want, up-to-date site plans and so forth, just as a consumer, we update all that information when tenants are coming. And I think, between MSID and the chamber and everybody, our different websites, we all do a really good job promoting the local businesses, whether it's the national guys, the Olive Garden, they have a huge budget. It's the guys like RC's and Yummy Tummy that don't have the $1 million national budgets that we try to dig in with those guys and help them, whether it's, hiring. Matt Nason is a good example. They were having some difficulty finding a director, and we were able to help. I don't know if it resulted from something we sent out, but we were going to at least put the word out there that they needed some help. And then just little ticklers as tenants are coming along and they're about to open, and then once they open, they're running promotions. And we do that at really no charge to our tenants. It's just part of our marketing department because at the end of the day, we get more people out here, it all feeds off of itself. And so we kind of look at that as a big picture, something that we like to get back to our tenants and to the community. But yeah, Shop BRTC. And two, you can sign up once you get on there if you want updates, you want the email reminders. We all go out email, but that's at your choice. That was all I had, unless there was any questions. Sure.
I was just curious if you had any information that you could share with us about the Sands. There's rumors swirling around that they're going to open back up, or that it was going to be a distribution center, but it can't be. So I was just wondering if you had any information you could share.
Yeah, so they closed 63 stores around the country overnight last year. I guess with a big company like that, they closed all of these stores, and I don't think it was an issue from a store level. I think it was more of a strategic plan from a finance standpoint or accounting standpoint. We don't control it. That's the one piece that we did sell. We are still out there actively marketing it in the hopes of finding somebody to fill that space, and I think in the near future we'll have some activity there on that. Could they reopen? Sure. That was good. I'd love for them to. There was some talks of them doing an e-distribution there, but given the restrictions that we put in place, it has to remain retail in nature, so we wouldn't want that. We'd love to have it in the area, up in the industrial park or elsewhere, but not there. So.
How soon do you imagine the Commerce Center would be up and going and available for tenants to approve?
You talking about the Commerce District here on the south?
Yeah.
We preserve that, and the way we've looked at this, obviously, just being, in this development for the last, 20 years, we're going to be patient and not just go build one building for a small office tenant. We have other phases where we can accommodate those.
Okay, so right now it's still very fluid.
Yeah, it would have to be driven by a large, corporate campus is what we reserve that for, but not something that we could accommodate within the entertainment district or elsewhere. We want that to be a.
So you would need an anchor first before you had other businesses. You would need an anchor of some sort.
Correct.
Before you had other businesses.
Correct. Right, we're going to be patient and get that lead tenant to kick that off at a very large scale before we just go out there and develop, 20,000 feet or 50,000 feet. It has to be something much larger. Yes.
How many other projects do you have going in Montgomery County right now?
From a retail standpoint,
Besides, residential or whatever, besides just right in this exact small area right here?
we have out on 105 and 2854, we've got Montgomery Ridge, which is a residential community that we're developing, our land development team is. There's one up kind of north of 1488 up near the Aggie Highway. Pretty large development. I think it's 500 acres residential development. There are several neighborhood retail developments in those too, and then some of the existing developments that we've been in over the years where there's 5 acres sitting out front that would be a convenience store or a small retail center. So I would say in Montgomery County, outside of Valley Ranch, this area, probably 7 or 8 different developments, different disciplines, whether it's land development, and then our home building divisions built in a lot of neighborhoods that maybe we didn't develop ourselves, but we bought lots there to develop within those neighborhoods. Yes, sir?
On the 4th of July celebration, where is that going to be?
It'll be held right there on the hill, just to the west of the stadium.
Okay.
And we'll send out more details, mapping and so forth, but if you can get to the Kroger there, you're probably parked there or at the stadium and walk,
Okay.
depending on where there's availability. We hope to have all the parking lots full and all the restaurants beforehand.
Yeah.
Be a good time. And this year, we did anticipate such a large crowd. The one area that we learned from, that we're going to do a better job visiting with the law enforcement community this year, and tax audit needed is, traffic control, just because we had a bigger crowd because a lot of the other functions were closed down, and, everybody was, as they're sitting there waiting in line to get out, we were trying to help as much as we can, just signal 18, people were waiting in traffic, and they were rolling down the window saying how much of a great time they had as they're waiting. So it was, it was one of those bad things, but everybody was willing to give us a little bit of leeway just because it was the first time and we didn't expect such a big turnout, which we were excited for, so we'll plan better for that this year. Anything else?
Thank you for that.
Oh, thank you for having me. And also, I left some cards up here. Grab them. My cell phone's on there. Text me, email me. You can do that through the website, but if you email me personally, those emails are gonna end up to me anyway. So, and our team. So I'm happy to, answer any questions, or you hear a rumor and you want to confirm it, or to the extent that I can, I'll give you the information I can. So, thank you.
Does anybody have any other announcements they need to make? If you didn't sign this card for Joe, come write a word of encouragement on the card, and let's send it to him tomorrow. Nobody else got anything? Then Mr. Bricky says he's motioning to adjourn. Okay. You're always on the second, aren't you?